Good morning, everybody. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people. Today is January 14th, 2025. And I want to move on now to my next watch time. It's going to be January 19th and 20th, connected to the inauguration of Donald Trump or just before. Before I get into my message, I would just like to say, those of you who are able and willing to make a financial contribution to our ministry, we would greatly appreciate that. We have been pumping out videos here and getting information out to the body of Christ, as well as maintaining our church and our mission here in Yucatan, Mexico. We've been doing all we can to serve without worrying too much or trying to be too redundant with our pleas for financial support. And I will leave some links for you in the description box for those of you who would like to support our ministry. Thank you very much. Okay, getting into this message, January 19th. I'm just going to go through a list of items here, and I'm going to make this as quick as possible to get this information out to you. The Christmas season for Orthodox Christians ends on January 19th, which is the day of Epiphany. So January 19th is the end of the Christmas season in the Orthodox tradition. Russia threatens U.S. nuclear war by Christmas. Is this connected to our calendar or their calendar? Russia celebrates Orthodox Christmas. The end of their Christmas season is January 19th. Trump warns all hell will break out if Gaza hostages not released by his inauguration. So we have a very serious warning that if there's no deal made and that the hostages are not released by January 20th, then all hell will break out. I want to go over a piece of history here. The Iran hostage crisis that took place between 1979 and 1981 ended on Inauguration Day, the inauguration of Ronald Reagan on January 20th, 1981. The hostages were held for 444 days, and 1981 to 2025 is 44 years. Some type of a connection between 444, 44, and Inauguration Day, January 20th, 1981, 44 years to Inauguration Day, January 20th, 2025. Over the last day, information has been coming out. A ceasefire deal is on the brink. Israel-Hamas ceasefire talks on brink of deal after midnight breakthrough. They're talking about a midnight breakthrough on ceasefire talks. Mediators will meet with Israel and Hamas later today to finalize a Gaza ceasefire deal after a midnight breakthrough in Doha. U.S. President Joe Biden said a deal that would see the immediate release of dozens of hostages was on the brink of coming to fruition after months of peace talks. So even this is pointing to something happening possibly on or before Inauguration Day, and they're talking about a midnight breakthrough. Matthew 25:6, at midnight there was a cry made, behold, the bridegroom comes, go you out to meet him. So we have a midnight warning coming out on January 13th. Could be connected by 7 days to Inauguration Day. Very interesting situation as we watch all of these signs and try to understand what is happening. The other thing that comes out of this is that 1 Thessalonians 5:2-3 says, for when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction comes upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So we have this idea of peace and safety coming out of these ceasefire talks. And we also have the idea of a birthing event, a woman giving birth. Talking about a woman giving birth, from the last great American eclipse of April 8th, 2024 to January 20th, 2025. It's 288 days, which is a perfect birth cycle of 280 days plus 8 days for the circumcision. 288 days from the April 8th eclipse. Sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Donald Trump was born on a blood moon, June 14th, 1946. When he first took office on January 21st, 2017, he was 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days. When he takes office on January 21st, 2025, Donald Trump will be 78 years, 7 months, and 7 days old. From his first inauguration, January 20th, 2017, to his re-election, November 5th, 2024, it's 7 years, 7 months, and 77 days. From his re-election on November 5th, 2024, to his first day in office, January 21st, 2025, it's 77 days. Could Donald Trump be the last Trump? The 7th Trump, 777 Donald Trump? From the day of the pandemic, March 11th, 2020, to January 20th, 2025, it's 1,776 days. 1776. From the day of the first vaccine in the United States, December 14th, 2020, to January 21st, 2025, it's 1,500 days. 1,500 in the Hebrew is the equivalent of harpazo, 726 in the Greek. 1,500 in the Hebrew is robbery, theft, plunder. It means to tear away or to seize. Connected to Strong's Greek, 724, harpache, meaning plunder or robbery. Strong's Greek, meaning to steal. The term gazella refers to the act of taking something by force or without permission, often implying a violation of justice or moral law. It is used in the context of unlawful seizure or theft, highlighting the wrongful deprivation of property or rights. On May 14, 2018, Israel turned 70, and Donald Trump moved the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. May 14th, 2018 to January 20th, 2025, 2,444 days. We have already seen many 444 connections over the last days. 444 being the number of man, also means to turn corrupt. In other words, corrupt man, the corruption of man, 444. But 2444 in the Hebrew means to be dark or to wait. There is no direct Greek equivalent for Chikala, as it is a specific Hebrew place name. However, the concept of refuge and hiding can be related to Greek terms such as refuge or hidden. Chikala refers to a specific geographical location mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. It is known as the Hill of Hachila, a place in the wilderness of Ziph where David hid from King Saul. The term is used to denote a place of refuge and strategic advantage. So a place of hiding in the wilderness. From Israel's 70th birthday, hiding in the wilderness until January 20th, 2025. This would also apply to May 15th, 2018, which was the Clade X pandemic exercise, to Donald Trump's first day in office, 2,444 days hiding in the wilderness. From Donald Trump's calm before the storm, October 5th, 2017, to January 21st, 2025, it's 2,666 days. The calm before the storm, 2666. 2666 in the Greek is to swallow up, to devour, to consume. It's used in Revelation 12:16, but the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and drank up the river which the dragon poured out of his mouth. The river was swallowed up, and God helped the woman to escape from the dragon. The calm before the storm, 2,666 days. We've been watching the California fires, and they mocked God at the Golden Globes as they were showing January 13th, 11:3. And the Golden Globes is connected to the god Atlas, the one who holds the Golden Globe on his shoulders. The first Golden Globe Awards were held on January 20th, 1944. January 20th, 1944, 81 years. 81 years ago. If you put together the Hebrew and the Greek number 81, the brotherhood of the Christian church or Christendom, dust, powder, bringing the church to dust, 81. As we were watching Comet G3 Atlas's perihelion event on January 13th, 7 days later, January 19th, January 20th, we have G3 Atlas in the constellation of the Goat, the Capricorn, and we have a conjunction of Venus and Saturn in Aquarius on January 19th. On January 13th, there was a conjunction of Mars and the full moon in the constellation of Gemini, and Hierophant, the producer of iPetGoat, has this type of conjunction in its logo, Hierophant. Could these be connected to this final warning, this final week, the moon connected to Mars? After the moon connected with Mars on January 13th, 7 days later, it is connected to Spica in Virgo. Spica represents the harvest. January 20th, the moon connected to Spica. Now I'm going to show you a clip from iPetGoat. A couple things I want to share here is that in one of my last messages I shared about the rapture that was happening on the full moon, and then there's a connection to the Indian holiday of Lohri, where the people dance around the bonfires. Then it goes on, and the scene will go on, and it's the arrival of the Christ. Right after the Lohri rituals, the Indian dancing rituals around the bonfire, is the arrival of the Christ. Now let me play this clip, and then I'll share more about what I am seeing here. Okay, I want to walk through a couple things that I'm seeing here. Okay, so we talked about this in one of my last videos about the Lori festival in India that happens on January 13th. And so we had the full moon last night connected to Mars. Could have been the rapture of the church connected to this festival in India. And so we see this festival that's taking place, which is connected to the full moon, January 13th. Okay, so right after this, the Lori festival, then the Christ arrives. Okay, so it's right there after the Lori festival, the Indian festival where they dance around the bonfires, January 13th, and then it's the arrival. Okay, now if you go on here in this scene, right here. Okay, I want to show you this exact moment. All right, so. Right here, he's got fire in his eyes. Okay, he's got fire in his eyes, and the church is coming down. All right, fire and church. Okay, I'm going to come back to that clip in a minute and finish out. We just had the LA fires, and so I looked up. I wanted to try to find a church that looked like that church, but I don't think that's the point necessarily. What we have then is the arrival of the Antichrist, fire, and the churches being burned. And so I looked up in LA how many churches, okay, were burned. And there's 12 different religious institutions that were burned. Religious institutions hit hard by LA fires look to rebuild. Here's how you can help. The next day they learned St. Mark's wasn't alone in its fate. At least 11 other churches. Okay, so St. Mark's plus 11 other churches. 12 churches that they are reporting. 12 is a very important number, like the 12 disciples. Okay, the 12 tribes, 12 churches. And so this is a very important detail connected to the fires in LA, and when the Christ comes, there's fire in his eyes, and it's right after this Lori festival where the arrival is going to be taking place. Okay, so we're going to see the fire in his eyes here as the church is burning down, or just falling down, crumbling. The church is crumbling, fire in his eyes. Okay, and this takes us to the last scene of the movie, and this is Egypt. Okay, what is this? This is the manifestation of the Christ and Egypt. The Coptic heritage feast of the Epiphany, the feast of the Epiphany, falling on January 19, is one of the most sacred days in the Coptic Christian calendar. In the Coptic Orthodox Church of Egypt, 19 January is a hallowed day, the feast of the Epiphany. The Coptic Epiphany is a feast that commemorates the baptism of Jesus Christ in the Jordan River by John the Baptist. The word Epiphany comes from the Greek word epiphaneia, which means manifestation. The Epiphany is a day when the Holy Trinity appeared to humanity, and the Epiphany is a day to remember the manifestation of God to humankind, and it's a day to remember the incarnation of Jesus Christ. The appearance, the manifestation, the Epiphany of the Christ. January 19th is the Epiphany, and Ipetgo connects us to Egypt, the last scene, the manifestation of the Christ connected to Egypt, and this could be and looks to be the Epiphany. Coptic Epiphany is a Christian holiday that takes place on January 19th each year. It commemorates the baptism of Jesus Christ in the Jordan River by John the Baptist. Epiphany is a celebration of the Trinity, with the Father's voice heard in heaven, the Son on earth, and the Holy Spirit descending as a dove. It marks the end of the Christmas season, and Christmas decorations are taken down. It's a time to remember that baptism makes people children of God. How is it celebrated? In Egypt, Coptic Christians jump into the Nile or nearby canals at midnight, dunking themselves 3 times. This is known as Eidal, which means Feast of Immersion. Could be similar type of ritual that they're doing right now with the Indian celebration of Lori. So I don't think there's any doubt that the end of the I Pet Goat is the Nile River leading up to the pyramids. And the Nile River begins in Lake Victoria in East Africa and ends in the Mediterranean Sea in Egypt. The Nile is the longest river in the world, flowing through 11 countries. The Nile River begins in the rivers that flow into Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is located in modern-day Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. The White Nile begins at Lake Victoria in Tanzania. So the Antichrist comes through the Nile out of Kenya, floating up the Nile River to the pyramids, to the day of the manifestation, the Epiphany in Egypt, January 19th. Okay, you guys have a lot of things to think about with all of this information I have brought to you. As I said at the beginning of my message, those who would like to support this ministry through financial donation, your help would be greatly appreciated at this time. Thank you all for your support and your prayers for our ministry, and we just want to make it to the end of the line here as we are getting ready to be raptured out. I pray you guys are blessed. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people, the sign of his coming revealed.